On today's episode of the Author Hangout, Nick Stephenson reveals his experience and advice about his book marketing success, talking about his story, about his addiction to self-publishing, why email is so important to him in his book marketing strategy, how free has resulted in amazing results, and I really loved how he emphasizes the power of utilizing his subscribers to sell to get reviews, and to create a sustainable business. And we close things out with some amazing insights about metadata. You ready? Let's jump right in. Hey everyone, this is Sean Manaher here with the Author Hangout and with RJ Adams, and we are interviewing today Nick Stephenson. Nick Stephenson was born and raised in Cambridgeshire, England. He's a fiction author and novelist, writing in the mysteries and thriller genre. His approach to writing is to hit hard, hit fast, and leave as few spelling errors as possible. He writes mysteries, thrillers, and suspense novels, as well as the occasional witty postcard, all of which are designed to get your pulse pounding. Don't let his headshot fool you. He's actually full color on most days. Nick, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
Great, and as we get things started, we'll just jump right into it. The first question that we have for you is, can you tell us a little bit of how you got started in self-publishing and the successes that you've had so far?
Sure. I think it was a long time brewing for me. I always really wanted to find some kind of career that gave me control over what I was doing. I graduated university roughly the same time they announced the market crash, which was great timing for me. So struggled to get a job after university. You know, you got a lot of debt. You spent a lot of time building up your degree, and probably the worst timing imaginable. So ever since then, really, I've been looking for something that I can do to really take control of my own career, rather than having to, rely on someone else giving me that job. And I'd always been someone who'd enjoyed writing, but I think at the time, and this is all back in 2009 sort of time, being an author wasn't really a career choice for a lot of people. I mean, it's never really been something where people talk openly about how their career's going, what sort of income you can make from being an author. And since Kindle came along, that's obviously all changed. And like many other authors getting started today, it was probably Joe Conrath who really got the ball rolling for me. Reading his blog and actually figuring that people can write what they love to write and potentially make money at it as well was just a bit of a dawning moment for me. So it was a few years ago I decided I'm going to have a go at writing a novel. Worst case scenario, doesn't sell any copies, I can go back to doing what I'm doing anyway. And I got the first book written. It took about six or 8 months, put it out on the market, and it sold a few copies. And anything more than one copy is just astounding for me at the time. It's crazy. Yeah. Somebody's actually buying stuff that I made up is just weird for me. And it kind of started there, really. So it was a bit of an addiction, and it all grew from there. So I've not looked back.
That's very cool.
So I've kind of seen your books around in the marketplace, but I got really interested in your story and kind of what you're working on when I saw your post about building a killer email list. We've talked a lot about building an email list many times on this show, pretty much almost every episode. Why do you think authors are so hesitant to build an email list?
I think a lot of it is just not really realizing why you should have one, or realizing it's not actually that difficult to do. Email marketing is kind of a lot of authors view it as a bit sleazy. It can be a bit scammy. You see all these spam emails come into your inbox every day. It kind of turns people off. But what they don't realize, I think, is that you can build a fantastic community on your website through your newsletter and actually engage with readers and have these conversations. A lot of the same ways people use Facebook and Twitter, having conversations with people, building up that community. But with email, you get to control that. I mean, you get those email addresses, people give them to you voluntarily, and you have control over them. You can reach all of your people on your email list all in one go if you need to, whereas Facebook and Twitter, it's a bit more of a problem. And I think if people approach it in that way, rather than as a hardcore selling tool, it becomes a lot less scary. And you can give readers the option to sign up if you want to hear about new book releases, a lot of people will click that. If you just let them know it's there, then people will join up. And I think that's what's missing, is for authors to actually understand that email marketing doesn't have to be all about the hard sell. It doesn't have to be about sending tons of spam email to people. It can actually be about building up that community and taking control over your own promotion, which I think is the major plus for me, is having that control. And I think if more authors realize that that's the outcome here, it'll prove a lot more popular.
And now, before you started really focusing on building your list, Nick, how many signups were you getting?
It was pretty bad. I think on a good week, maybe 3, and that was with a promotion. But at the time, my main author website was just a basic free WordPress blog that I'd set up with a few bits and pieces about my books. Somewhere right at the bottom of the page, I have a sign up here if you want to hear about new releases. Buried right at the bottom, a little link, no images or anything like that. And it still astounded me that people were actually clicking it. It was crazy. People actually want to hear from me when I've got new stuff out. And realizing that, I think, helped me build a bit of confidence in myself and realize that people are actually looking for my stuff. So I figured, why not make that more of a priority? So I played around with the website, and I thought, it's not doing a massive amount for me at the moment, other than having a list of my books out, which you can get on Amazon anyway. So why not make it into something that's actually giving me a benefit? So I turned the website around a bit, and it became sort of a funnel, really, for all incoming visitors. Would be presented with a big link that says, you want to hear about new releases from me, here's a button, click it, and I'll send you an email when I've got a new book out. And
was that early success then the catalyst to make you really focus on the mailing list, or was there a seminar that you went to, a book that you read that kind of got you thinking that this might be something to do?
Well, I think it was BookBub. I think I can blame BookBub entirely for it. I think because their promotions are so powerful that you can build a career on having a BookBub ad every couple of months. I mean, I've seen it happen. And literally, their business model is, we've got a ton of email addresses on our list. We send stuff out to them, and they buy it. It's nothing more complicated than that. So I figured, if a handful of people are signing up to my email list every week or every month, then surely more people would do that if they were just aware it existed. I can build myself up some kind of BookBub-esque marketing platform that I don't have to, sacrifice a goat to, or jump through hoops of fire just to get a listing with them. I can have control over this myself. So that's what I did, really. I focused all my activity and marketing on how to get people in to my email list. I ignored stuff going out. I came off Facebook, came off Twitter, and just thought, how can I get more email addresses, and how can I get more quality email addresses? I don't want to spam people. I want to make sure they want to be on my newsletter. So how do I encourage that happening? And that's really what I did.
So you mentioned that you built out your website to create like a funnel to get people onto your mailing list. Can you detail some of those changes just for someone who's not familiar with a marketing funnel?
Sure. Well, one approach was the website homepage itself. I ended up putting a big sort of featured image right in the center of the page that had an image of a free book that I was going to give away to people in exchange for them signing up to my email list. So first thing people see when they come to my website is, get your free book here, just enter your email address and I'll send you a copy. And just that one thing took me from sort of maybe a dozen email sign-ups every month to sort of 100, 150 email sign-ups a month. Just that one little change. Offering something in return for signing up to my email list made a massive difference. But I think the main problem was, I figure 150 emails a month, that's a good improvement, but it's going to take me a long time to build up that kind of level of subscribers. This is going to pay off for me. So I figured more traffic is needed. I need to get more people through to my website, really improve on that. So I started putting links inside all of my books telling people, that this free book was available at my site, putting the link in there, and really people would then just click through from the books as well. So I was using the books as a source of traffic as well, which was really helping. And then I had some free promotions come up, and noticed that just the number of clicks on those books just went through the roof. Where you might sell a few copies a day of each book. If you're doing a free promotion, it's not uncommon to shift several thousand copies in one day, and a proportion of those people are going to click through to my website, see the deal, and sign up to my email list. And that's really how I started building momentum. It's just a case of getting that traffic through.
And before we get out, I'd like to hear more about the types of traffic that you are driving to your mailing list. But what were the results? I mean, what kind of results overall are you seeing by having an email list?
Well, after I made the changes to the website, I also set up a landing page, a custom landing page as well, which didn't have any extra links on it. So instead of having, my about, contact, books pages listed at the top, people were landing on a custom design page that was literally just, here's my book, do you want it? And if they didn't, they could leave. They weren't clicking around and going to my Facebook page or anything like that. So doing that and then putting the links in the front of my free books, I went from a handful of subscribers a month to starting to see about 1,000 new subscribers coming through every month. And it was a massive, massive change just from doing that one little thing.
So you mentioned, yeah, that is pretty incredible. You mentioned that your free book is kind of one of the main drivers of the traffic to your mailing list. Can you explain kind of why that has worked so well and any other sources of traffic that you're using? Because anybody can set up their website to funnel people into their mailing list, but if you're not getting actual traffic, it doesn't really mean anything, right?
Yeah, definitely. You've got to focus on getting a lot of traffic through in the first place, but more importantly, I think, is converting that traffic into subscribers, making it a quality conversion. And if you're sending people from one of your own books, you know that they're already interested in your work, and they're hopefully liked it enough to bother clicking on your link. So everyone who arrives at my page is already pre-vetted. I already know that these guys coming to my landing page hopefully like the book they've read, and hopefully want to get some more from me. So I've tried a couple of different sources, like Facebook, got some traffic through from Facebook, through some free giveaway sites that weren't typically book related, and I found that I was either getting a really bad conversion rate, so people just weren't interested in what I was offering, and probably even worse than this, was they were signing up, getting the free book, and then unsubscribing straight away, or putting me in their junk folder. And if you get too many people putting your emails into their junk folder, you can get into trouble. So I wanted to avoid that. So now I'm focusing solely on getting traffic from my books, because I know that they're going to be good subscribers, and that's the main focus.
Now, before we go into this question I had, is I really like your website. I think your website's very clean, very clear about what you want people to do. It's a lot of author websites, they kind of try to get fancy and try and showcase everything. On your website, nickstephensonbooks.com, really clean, and I appreciate that. And with that said, the focus of authors giving away free or running some of the free promotions, some people are very hesitant to do that. Why do you think that's the case?
I think it's it's a natural response when you've spent months or possibly years working on something. You don't want to give it away, and I think that's it's a very strong emotional attachment to what is essentially a product at the end of the day. It's an artistic product, but it's not necessarily any different from music or paintings or drawings or anything like that. And if you think about what successful musicians are doing on platforms like Spotify, or offering free demo tracks on their website, or playing free gigs to get recognition, I think we have to look at it as in what value is my entire portfolio of books. If I can make more more revenue from offering one of my books for free, because I know that more people will then see me and buy other books, then I don't think that is going to devalue the effort that I put into it. But that's my personal opinion. I know some people won't touch free, and they do perfectly fine without it. So it's just one way of doing things.
Yeah, and right on the middle of right on the front page, you're giving away your book, Pay Down. So it's a free, is it a novella that you've written up?
Yeah, I wrote it specifically for this purpose, because I wanted to be able to give people something as an incentive to sign up. And I played with the idea of giving away advanced chapters of upcoming books or offering discounts, and I figured, the easiest, simplest thing to do is just to give them a free book. And so I wrote a novella for it, put it up as a free book on my site, and people are downloading it. I'm getting hundreds of downloads a month. People seem to be enjoying it, and a lot of them are going on and buying other things. So, and people are emailing me back about the book and saying, I enjoyed it. Occasionally I get someone who says, I spotted a typo, but hopefully not too often. And opening up the communication is really important for me. So I'm giving people something in return for their email address, because you don't give away your email address lightly these days, otherwise you're going to get bombarded with spam. So I want to offer value, good value, and then encourage people to get in touch if they've got questions or just want to ask me anything. So I think it's a great catalyst for opening those lines of communication, really. So
you mentioned that you send them the book right away when they sign up for your mailing list, and that you send them, you kind of let them know when the next book is available. Are there any other things that you send to your mailing list, between those times? Because I don't know how often you're publishing a book, but there's probably a few month gap between that.
Yeah, I mean, if I could publish a book every month, I think I wouldn't have an issue. But unfortunately, I can't type that fast. I try to send out maybe 2 emails a month, because my theory is, if you leave it too long in between emails, people run the risk of forgetting who you are, which is never a good thing. Because if people see an email from an unrecognized sender, chances are it gets deleted or it gets put in the junk folder, and everybody's worse off. So I try sending something once or twice a month. If I don't have a new release out, I might send a recommendation for a book that I've read in a similar genre to me, that I've enjoyed and think people will enjoy as well. And that really helps get the communication going as well. So I try to send something of value a couple of times a month without trying to sell anything. So that's the key thing, I think.
What are some other examples of that?
Other things I'll do is I might run a competition, give away either a free box set or signed paperback. I'm toying with the idea of giving away a Kindle or a Kindle Fire, running a competition like that. Doing some reader polls is always good as well. Find out what my readers actually want to read about, what they want to hear about from me, and just coming up with any good idea for what can get people interested in communicating with me. So I'll always ask, in my initial emails out to these guys, I'll say, what books do you recommend? What should I go read that you think I'll like? And people do email in with their suggestions, and I'll go buy those books. I'll read them, and if I like them, I might recommend them out to others as well. So trying to find that common ground where we can actually have a conversation about books has been great. I've talked to a lot of subscribers back and forth about stuff we enjoy, and it's been really valuable.
And aside from the obvious of being able to sell more books because you have a captive audience with your email list, do you use your email list to get reviews as your books are being published, before it's even published?
I don't. I used to send out advanced copies a while back, but I found now that I've managed to grow a base of subscribers and followers who actually touch wood, enjoy the books. And I tend to get a few reviews within the first week or so of publishing. So I tend to find, at this stage, reviews tend to accrue on their own. So I'm not too fussed about the series I'm writing at the minute. If I branch out into something different, I think I'm going to have to go back to sending out some advanced copies, which is fine, but it requires more organization, which is always difficult for me sometimes. But no, I mean, the subscribers I've got, there's a few of them have been absolutely fantastic. They'll buy everything that I write, and they'll leave reviews, and that's the best thing. So really, really grateful for that.
And when you were just starting out, and just diverging a little bit, talking about reviews, when you were just starting out, did you find trying to get reviews to be painful? And if so, what did you do in order to try and get reviews?
I did struggle. I think my first book, when it came out back in, it was March last year, so maybe 18 months ago nearly, I struggled to break 10 reviews. It took me forever. And then I ran a free promotion on it, on the advice of another author. I think it was through a site called, I can't remember what it was called now, but it was one of these submission sites where they put it through to sort of 40 or 50 different blogs and free promotion sites. And yeah, it was really good. I mean, I think it was something like 10,000 copies were downloaded at the time, and I think this was when free promotions counted for a lot more than they do now, so I was quite lucky to get in towards the back end of that. And I think I had 20 or 30 reviews came up within the next month or so. And after that, I just followed the same process. I'd release a book, leave it a few weeks, and then put it on a free promotion. And after a while, I managed to accrue enough reviews to get a BookBub advert. And after that, really, it was a bit of a tipping point. Then it was a lot easier for me to kind of keep that going. So it took me maybe 6 to 8 months to really start seeing regular sales. But I stuck at it, and I think that's the key takeaway. Don't give up too soon.
And do you think there's some psychology around with the number of reviews and the rating of the reviews with how buyers purchase or don't purchase?
It's difficult to tell. I mean, I've got most of my books in the UK have significantly fewer reviews than the US site, but they don't seem to sell any worse, which is very strange. So I've got 5 books out, 5 standalone series books out at the moment, a couple of bundles, and in the US, they've all got quite a few reviews, but in the UK, they're all selling pretty well, but there's no real differentiation between the books that have got 20, 30 reviews versus the newest book, which has no reviews at all. They're all selling roughly the same amount, and for the life of me, I'm trying to figure out how that sort of links in. I mean, I know having some sort of review does help buyers coming in who aren't sure about whether they're going to buy you or not. But if you've got a free promotion or a permanently free book out there, I think maybe that impact is lessened because people are seeing your books, having already sampled you. Maybe the reviews aren't quite so important. I don't know. It's a theory, but we'll see. I think the Amazon algorithms do kick in based on reviews in how they recommend other books, but I don't think anyone's quite cracked the code as to how that works exactly. But I know they do count for something, but I don't think it's the be-all and end-all, and you shouldn't worry about it too much. Reviews will come.
Circling back to building the email list, you gave a lot of just great examples of how you're doing it, how you took it from like 3 people a week to a couple hundred people a month, which anybody who does any type of email marketing would be envious of. Do you have any final words to share with people about building an email list as an author, especially as one who's just kind of starting out and trying to grow their business and get a few sales and a few signups?
Sure. I think one of the things I try to bear in mind is going back to BookBub again. I mean, those guys have got like nearly 2 million subscribers now, but we don't have to aim for that sort of insane amount of subscribers to do well from this.
Yeah.
Because if you're growing a curated list of your own from people who are genuinely interested in your work, and if you're sending enough traffic to your website and you're converting that traffic into emails, email subscribers by maybe offering something free in return, you can get 10 signups a day. That's perfectly doable. And I've spoken to some authors who have sort of tried the same approach as me, and they're getting that sort of ballpark number of signups every day. And that sort of level of sign-ups, in 3 years, maybe you'll have 10,000 email addresses on your newsletter list. And you can sell anywhere between 500 and 1,000 books based on that sort of minimum when you release a new title. So if you spend a couple of years building this up, and it's free to get started, you can release a new book and sell 1,000 copies in the first week. You'll be outperforming BookBub, and you'll have all the control. And it's something that you built and that you get to keep. So you can build a career based on email subscribers. So I think everyone should be doing this, getting started, and trying to get people signing up, because it's really, really powerful.
Cool. Yeah, that's huge. So one of your other little tricks of the trade is using metadata. Can you explain what metadata is for the authors who don't know?
Sure. This is all the backroom stuff that readers don't see. So when we talk about metadata, I think we mean sort of keywords, like sort of the words that you pick when you're publishing your book in your KDP dashboard. Amazon asks you to pick 7 keywords. And I'm guilty of this as well, but most authors would just pick 7 random words vaguely related to their book, hope for the best, and click publish. But what I started doing in the last 3 or 4 months was spending a lot more time understanding how readers are finding books on Amazon. And one of the key ways they find it is using the search bar along the top of the screen. If they're not sure what they're looking for, they might type crime thriller or romance, historical romance, whatever it is, into the search bar and see what comes up. And really that sort of function, it's looking at books metadata. It's looking for keywords inside the book, inside the title, inside the product description, and it's figuring out which one of these books is most likely to appeal to someone searching for historical romance, for example. So that was part 1, and part 2 was really understanding how targeted keywords in popular niches could work. So historical romance is a big genre. If you type historical romance into Amazon, you're going to get tens of thousands of results. It's crazy. You're never going to stand a good chance of getting to the top of those search results. But if you type in historical romance series, for example, you'll see there's far fewer books presented. So I started thinking, why don't I spend more time looking at these more specific keywords? So I played around and I picked 7 much more specific keywords for my books. So instead of thriller, I might pick mystery thriller novel as a keyword, put that into the dashboard, put it into the product description somewhere, and I found that made a massive difference.
And the thing is that it's funny if authors realize that it really won't put you to sleep and that it actually help you to sell more books, they can really benefit from that. And what's the name of your book on metadata?
So I've just recently finished a book called Supercharge Your Kindle Sales, which is really all about keywords and building an email list. So these are the 2 things I did that have made the biggest difference. And I think the key takeaway for me is realizing that Amazon doesn't work like a bookstore. It works like a search engine. So when you're selling a book, you need to think about what you'd be doing on Google if you were trying to get your web page to the top of the results. It's a similar sort of approach on Amazon. Use relevant keywords in your metadata, in your product descriptions. It will really help you get noticed in the crowd, and that's just been a massive, massive thing for me. As an example, I swapped out all my keywords 3 months ago, and it literally quadrupled my sales. It was crazy, and this was almost overnight. So within a week, I was selling something like 150, 200 books a day on Amazon, going from a handful. And it was literally because I was doing perma-free, I was doing BookBub ads, but they just weren't sticking. I'd saw on the charts for a couple of days, and I'd fall right back down again. With the keywords, being more focused on what market I was trying to attract, after these promotions, they were staying high. They'd hang around for 6-8 weeks, and I'd do another promotion, and it was just working so well for me. I figured, I've got to tell people about this. It seems so simple once you think about it. So I wrote it all down. I did a guest post on David Goffrin's blog recently about mailing lists, and had some questions come through about keywords as well. So I figured, why not write it all down? So I've put a book together that covers exactly how people can go about finding relevant keywords, how to make the most of it, and how it's helped me and how it's helped other authors. So there's some case studies in there that shows other authors that have done the exact same thing, along with some sales charts and some sales figures that really hopefully help make the point that it's something everyone can do, and it really doesn't cost you anything except for time to get started. So that's been a major thing for me.
Awesome. So besides metadata, besides the killer email list, if you started today, what few things would you make sure that you do as a new author?
I think for me, I started off by just writing whatever came into my head and hoping I'd find a market for it somewhere. If I was starting again, I think I'd probably give this advice to anyone who asked. If they're starting their first book, pick a genre that you enjoy, but pick a market within that genre that you can actively sell to. So if you like writing thrillers, don't write a thriller. Maybe write a political thriller or a spy thriller or an espionage thriller. Make it really specific. Find a market that's selling and write to the market. And I think you'll find that will have the biggest impact on you when you first get started, because people are already looking for you, and you're less likely to get lost in the sea of other titles. So that would be my big advice, I think.
Awesome. RJ, any other questions for Nick?
No, I think this is some really great information that authors are not implementing that they can start implementing today. So where can people find you online, and where do you want people to go to learn more about you?
Well, I've got an author blog, a reader's website, and you can find all of these things on my Twitter account, which I think you've got posted above the screen there, or just do a Google search for me. I think I turn up vaguely near the top, so I'm fairly easy to find, which might be dangerous, but we'll see how it goes.
Cool,
awesome.
Nick. Well,
thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much for being on the show, and we'll catch you around.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for having me. See you soon.
Are you confused about what you should be doing to promote your book? Luckily for you, our Ultimate Author Checklist is here to help.
We walk you step by step through building your book marketing engine so you can actively and passively sell more books.
Go to theauthorhangout.com/free guide to get our free Ultimate Author Checklist.